The RS2 is the latest camera stabilizer in DJI's line of professional gimbals. It is lighter than its predecessor, but can handle an even greater max payload. It comes with a new algorithm for even smoother results. Also, it now features an inbuilt display that makes the smartphone superfluous most of the time. And the Raven Eye image transmitter can stream the camera's signal far, far away and enables a very cool function. And last but not least, the new DJI RS2 comes with a set of new features. Only a quick note before we get into this review. DJI did not start a new line of gimbals with the RS2. R still stands for Ronin, and we all remember that there was a Ronin S once, and now this is the Ronin S2. RS2. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and of course don't forget to subscribe. Let's get this episode going. The RS2 looks, I don't know, well, yeah, somewhat familiar to camera enthusiasts. Actually, all gimbals look somewhat alike at first sight, right? Anyways, let's talk facts, because that is what you came here for. DJI had to solve an issue, and it is an issue that most of us know just too well: overweight. The predecessor did a great job, but it was just so heavy. Many people, including myself by the way, complained about it. Because let's be honest, deep inside we're all a bunch of lazy folks. The less we have to carry, the happier we are. Now, how do you make a pro-level gimbal lighter? Some use plastic. Yeah, that's the one way, but let's face it, plastic is not stability's second name. And anyways, in 2020, nobody in the Western Hemisphere wants to even be bothered by that toxic word anymore. Plastic, wow. Instead of using Did you really beep that? Anyways, if DJI now decided to, instead of go ahead and use carbon fiber, that is a pretty smart move, and not only for the troubled Western mind, but also technologically. The RS2 is significantly lighter than its predecessor and stronger. That is a win-win. And now comes the Harry Potter moment, Wingardium Leviosa-like. The RS2 can lift not only mirrorless or DSLR, but even mid-sized cinema cameras with a maximum weight of up to, and now buckle up, 4.5 kilograms. Alrighty, free of charge, I'm also going to do you guys a favor of looking up how many pounds that is. Anyways, just one quick word, okay? I don't get why you Americans use all these fancy systems. Let's just say here in Europe we measure temperature in degrees Celsius. 0 degrees, water is freezing. 100 degrees, water is boiling. In America, that's so confusing. When I travel there and I see the Fahrenheit scale, it's just so strange, you know? It's just, there's no rule in it to easily memorize it. And I like things the easy way. That is also why I like that this thing doesn't weigh a lot, the RS2, and it can still lift a lot. Anyways, 4.5 kilograms equal 9.921 pounds. 10 pounds, that is therefore the max payload of the RS2. Now, what is most important when it comes to a camera stabilizer? You guessed wisely, the level of stabilization. And of course, I took it to the test. You rather want to see some good old test footage, don't you? I get it, but I tell you in the end I'll probably just say, wow, that was good. And I won't say, oh no, that looked so bad. I mean, DJI even upgraded their already before superb algorithm. They named the new one Titan Stabilization. But because normal walking just seemed too easy for the RS2, I decided to go for a run. And I did not use any tools to smoothen down the run, I just ran. Now judge the level of stabilization yourself. I don't know if you noticed it already, but the RS2 now features a built-in touchscreen. It measures only 1.4 inches, but it is a true gift to run and gun style filmmakers like myself. The touchscreen makes using the smartphone superfluous in almost all situations. You save so much time and nerves. The small display lets you check and adjust almost all settings and parameters of the gimbal. It is responsive and the menus are easy to use. And having to use the smartphone all the time belongs to the past finally and saves a lot of time. I cannot say it often enough. And together with the lower weight of the RS2, the tiny display is my personal highlight. Manufacturer DJI listened to the users and improved the general design of the RS2. In my eyes, the RS2 is DJI's most sophisticated gimbal so far. I mean, they didn't reinvent the wheel or the gimbal, let's not overstate the changes. They made the RS2 a very user-friendly piece of technology by fixing and perfecting many smaller issues. If you're more into serious work and not into run and gun style shooting, then you should be happy that the RS2 features two NATO ports, one on each side of the gimbal. You can attach all kinds of accessories, for example, an external monitor, or some fancy handles, or a smartphone clamp. By the way, a smartphone clamp is included. I don't use the NATO ports too much, but it's nice to have them in case you ever have to attach some accessories. Another really sweet detail is the built-in focus wheel. It sits right above the trigger button and you can reach it pretty quickly, and it is just in the perfect spot. If you need to focus manually, it is a great and very helpful tool. It is neither too stiff nor too loose, it really lets you focus pretty precisely. Of course, you could also install the traditional follow focus to the side of the gimbal. That is totally up to your preferences and needs. The only downside here, you need to connect your camera to the gimbal using one of the included cables. Next, I need to mention the revised axis locks. Each and every axis can be securely locked in place for transportation. The three knobs are bulky enough so that you don't have to look for them anymore. Simply slide your finger over the RS2 and you'll be able to blindly lock or unlock the axis quickly. Also, the adjustment levers are really nice to use. Actually, all screws and locks have been upgraded for both more safety and better comfort. You don't need to use any force, all levers move butter smooth, but at the same time, they really never get loose. In the top, the RS2 features a quick release camera attachment system. You can use your own Manfrotto tripod plate, or you go with the one that DJI provides. Attaching the camera is a painless task. Simply slide it in, close the lever, and that is already it. When it comes to adjusting the gimbal, well, I'd say that the process is still the same as with all other gimbals, slightly annoying to be honest, but doable. What I really liked in this regard was the small top adjustment wheel. It lets you move the installed camera back and forth very precisely. It can also keep a position, which is gonna save you time and nerves, so that in case that you have to remove and then later reattach the camera to the gimbal, you don't have to balance the gimbal again. Of course, that only works if you don't change your camera setup meanwhile. The battery grip used to be somewhat of an issue to me back in the days. It often didn't really give me the feeling of stability. It felt like the battery grip and the gimbal didn't really lock well. That is not an issue anymore with the RS2. Everything sits super tight, no micro shaking anymore. Also, and this gives true peace of mind, the battery grip's lock got a makeover and finally feels a lot safer to me. Gone is the lever that could be moved by mistake and could make the gimbal and camera fall accidentally. Instead, the RS2 features a small button lever system that won't make the battery grip detach from the gimbal by mistake. It is almost impossible now. You can only detach the gimbal from the battery grip when moving the lever and pressing the button simultaneously. Talking about the battery, the RS2's battery is a beast and will probably, I don't know, outlive humanity. It just never fully empties. I was using it for days and didn't have to recharge it even once. Officially, DJI states up to 12 hours of usage on a single charge. Luckily, the USB-C charging port has been moved. It is now not located on the gimbal itself anymore, but right on the battery grip. In case you want to use an extra battery while recharging the empty one, that is now finally possible. Big news is the Raven Eye wireless video transmitter. It is a small and standalone unit that you can use to transmit the camera's signal over to the Ronin app. And it weighs only 135 grams and it mounts to the bottom of the camera attachment plate. It takes a relatively firm press to slide it into position, but then it sits tight. To power the system, we firstly attach the camera to the Raven Eye. Next, we unfold the antennas and then power up the device. As soon as the small LED turns blue, the system is up and running. Now we can use the smartphone and see what the camera sees. You can also connect Raven Eye to the RS2 itself. Now, why would you do that? To use the active track function. Basically, you can let the gimbal automatically track a subject that you are filming. You can focus on operating the gimbal, while the system keeps the selected object in the center. With the predecessor, you had to install a smartphone to the hot shoe mount of the camera, and that worked too, but it was pretty annoying. If you use Raven Eye in comparison, and the small built-in screen, you don't have to care about the smartphone anymore. The function works pretty nicely. It is beneficial also, by the way, for vlogging and for filming yourself in action. The Raven Eye system does the job. It transmits the camera signal wirelessly to the smartphone. And what is also cool is that we can now use the active track function without having to install a smartphone to the top of the camera. That was all too much. That was too clunky, that wasn't comfortable, that wasn't handy. Now all of that works a lot better. But the range isn't doing so well. After 25 till 30 meters, it breaks down and I can't fix it. Maybe DJI can with a firmware update. The RS2 is packed with modes. You can, of course, let the head rotate 360 degrees, which creates really unique effects. You can create time lapses, motion lapses, all kinds of cool stuff. I actually didn't have the time to thoroughly take him to the test, and that's also why I'm now not going to go in depth. What I can tell you is all these modes, they do the job, but I don't think that we use them all too often. And that is why there's nothing else left to say, but don't forget to leave a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe to never again miss any of my upcoming episodes. If you want to know all the details about the RS2, then don't forget to check out the product link in the description below the video. Maybe you even want to purchase an RS2. Again, product link can be found in the description right below this video. Thank you guys for watching, and now it is time for me to pack my bags and head back home. Actually, I live 7 hours from here, so I'm now not going to go actually home. I'm just going to go to my family, and then from there I'm going to head home. And there is a family member of mine that I filmed with. And that family member just does whatever she wants to. Sometimes I cannot stop her. Du bist so doof. Du bist so doof. If you want to scare your children, this is how. Take their smartphones and send them to the smartphone graveyard. I think I've never seen them that shocked. Can you hear how quiet they are? They're never that quiet.